Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is Tuesday, April the 7th, 2020. Thanks for joining us again today. Just as a reminder, yesterday we were looking at the measures of central tendency, mean, median, mode, and range. And I just want to say how impressed I was with the level of accuracy with the task that was submitted by many of you for feedback. A lot of you did a really, really nice job of determining those measures. And it was mentioned yesterday, we use the measures of central tendency as tools to help us analyze data and numbers. Um, Most decisions are made not through purely a gut feeling, but we have to take information that's provided to us and analyze it using certain tools to help us make informed decisions. And this is something that should be done in everyday life. It might not be as formal as the calculations we're doing, but all of our decisions should be guided by sound information. Okay. So what you may have noticed yesterday, some of the key mistakes that we were seeing from people was not a lack of knowledge as to how to make the calculations, just careless keystroke errors or mistakes that were causing results to be slightly incorrect. So um, technologically, there's a way to help avoid those mistakes. So what I'm going to walk you through here is a database program that you're probably familiar with, which is called Google Sheets. You probably see it on the screen in front of you here. I have an example. Okay. And I'm going to show you and walk you through some examples of how to utilize the software to help us make the calculations quicker and in an organized fashion. Organized information is often much more easy for us to interpret and make decisions based on. Okay. So if we look at the example on the screen here, we have 5 students, Amber, Billy, Cardi, Deshawn, and Andy, and they have 5 test scores. Okay, so there's a lot of information here. Now, if we had or were asked to calculate the mean, the median, the mode, and the range for all 5 students, this would take a considerable amount of time. So I want to share with you ways that this can be done much more efficiently. Okay, so let's start with Amber's scores. Okay, and let's calculate Amber's mean. So what we're going to do is we're going to click in that box where we would like the mean to go, the average. And when I click in there, um, I'm going to start with typing an equal sign. Now, if you look up here really quickly, this is called the formula bar right here where it says FX. Okay. So when I click in the cell where it says mean for Amber and I type equals, okay, it's going to give a suggestion as to what we might want to put in there. And it says the average of B2 through F2. This is cell B2 and this is F2. And that's exactly what we want. But I'm going to show you how we're going to type this. So I'm going to type equals the word average. And it suggests, as you might be able to see, that it's highlighting the scores for Amber. Okay. So I'm going to click on that. So it gives me the cells that we're going to average out. And I'm going to hit enter. And it gives me her average of 81.2. As you can tell, and this may have been something that you ran into yesterday, when you were adding values, you might have a keystroke error, then you have to delete and you have to restart adding, and it can get a little bit confusing. In this case here, we just basically highlighted the cells that were we wanted to average Amber's test scores, and it did the work for us. Okay. Now, as you know, we want the average for Billy, Cardi, Deshawn, and Andy as well. So this is what we can do. This is a really cool, what's called a fill function. So I'm going to click on the cell that has Amber's average. And if you notice in the bottom right corner, there's a little blue square. Okay. And what we can do at this point is, since we've calculated the average or the mean for Amber here, and we want to do that for all 4 of the other students, I'm going to take and click and drag that down. Oops, I'm going to do that again. I click and drag that down, and so a little crosshair appears, and I'm going to drag down all the way to the bottom of Andy here. And it goes ahead and assumes that we want to calculate the average of the 5 values for each student into an average, and it does it all in one step. Okay, so I'm going to delete that really quickly because I just want to show you once again how we do that. Okay, so again, I want the average or the mean for Amber, so I'm going to type equals. The formula bar opens up. I'm going to say average. I'm going to open a bracket, and I can click and highlight the 5 test scores for Amber. I'm going to close the bracket and hit enter, and it gives me this. Okay. Again, I could do that for each student, right? Equals average, highlight the scores, hit enter, right? But again, we're looking for a way to be as efficient as possible. So once I've done it once and I want the average for the other students, I click on the square, the cell that has the average that we've calculated. I go to the bottom right corner till the crosshairs appear. I'm going to click and fill to the bottom, and now I have the average for everybody. So let's look at the median. Okay, we want the median for all 5 students. Again, normally this would be a little bit time consuming because we'd have to quickly organize the values from least to greatest to find the middle value, okay, the median value. But again, we don't need to do that here. So instead of using equals average, and by the way, when doing this, it doesn't recognize the word mean. You have to use the word average in this software. But now we want the median. So I'm going to open with equals, and then I'm going to type the word median. And I'm going to hit open brackets, and then I'm going to highlight just the test scores. One common mistake here is people want to highlight the mean. We just want the 5 test scores. And then I'm going to close the bracket, and here. So the median test score is 84. And again, I can do that individually for all 5 students, or I can now fill at this point. So I'm going to click on the 84, which is the median for Amber. And I'm going to go to the bottom right corner to the blue square. I'm going to click on it, drag down, and I have everybody's median. Okay. Now, for mode, again, equals mode, M-O-D, oops, M-O-D, open bracket, highlight the test scores, boom, close bracket, enter, click on that cell, bottom right corner, blue square, click, fill down, and I have the mode for everyone. Okay. Now, that's the end of the functionality here, because at this point, the software, this Google Sheets software, does not recognize or have a formula or function for range. Okay. So we have to calculate range manually and insert it here. Again, one of the things that you may choose to do to make sure that you're properly identifying this, these are relatively small sets of numbers, is remember, range is the largest value, subtract the smallest value. So what you might do to help you properly do this is, as I look at the sets of data, if I look at Amber's test scores, I see she has 5 test scores. 90 is her largest, so sometimes I'll just fill it or highlight it with yellow so it stands out. And the smallest test score, her lowest value is 72. She gets 2 of those. It's mode. So I'll highlight that one. Okay. So then 90 subtract 72 would be 18. So her range is 18. Okay. Again, for Billy, Billy's biggest score was 98. His smallest score was 62. His range is 36 when I subtract those. Okay. Cardi, 98. And 68. Her range is 30. Sean, 94. Oh, no, sorry. That's not true. Sorry. Getting a little hasty there. 96, actually, for Deshaun's best score. Lowest score, 52. Range of 44. And finally, best score for Andy is 94. and lowest score is 74. So a range of 20. Now, in this context, really quickly, what does range represent as far as test scores goes? Question is, do you want a range that's large or do you want a range that's small? I think most of us would agree that we would want a range that's small because range measures what we call consistency, how consistent a student was, right? Looking at, for example, Deshaun, he had the largest range in this case, 44. He had a really good score of 96, but he had a really bad score of 52. Okay. So he wasn't very consistent. Okay. Now, with that being said, that kind of leads us into the next thing I would like you to look at. And that is, as we look at the test scores, and to make this easier, I'm just going to go ahead and make these all unfilled at this point. Okay. Looking at the test scores, there's 5 students who had 5 test scores. That's 25 test scores total. What we always want to do when we analyze data is we want to look at the data and see if there are any numbers that really seem out of place to us. They don't seem to make sense. They're considerably higher or lower than the rest of the data. These are often called outliers. Outliers are data that considerably do not meet the criteria of the rest of the data, and they don't have a reasonable explanation as to why they're considerably higher or lower. Okay, so when I look at these scores, and I think I've already made reference to this, one score, well, there's actually 2 scores that kind of stand out to me, and maybe you see it as well. The first one that stands out to me is this 98 by Billy. So I'm going to highlight that in red really quickly. That 98 by Billy is interesting. He was only scoring, started at 76, and his scores were actually going down into the 60s. And then all of a sudden he pulls off a 98, which is nearly perfect. Okay. I'd be curious to see why that happened or how he was able to make that happen. Okay. On the flip side of that, another number that was interesting to me was the 52 by Deshaun. We'd highlighted this earlier. Okay. Deshaun seems to be a student who, in most senses, done well. He had some 82s, a few high 90s, and then the lowest mark by any student on any test for some reason. So this is an outlier in my sense, or in my opinion. On the other end of the spectrum, it's not noticeably high, but rather noticeably low. And I'd be curious to know why this happened or what caused this to happen. So these are interesting things that we want to be able to pull out from data sets. Are there numbers that seem out of place? And these are often called outliers, and we want to see if there's a reasonable explanation for them. Okay. So what I would like you to do today is I'm going to present you with a similar but much larger data set. And obviously the functionality or the usefulness of these types of database software becomes even more obvious when we have very large sets of data. Okay. And we would normally have a lot of keystrokes to complete, therefore lots of opportunities for unfortunate or careless errors. Okay, so the document you're going to be given is going to be this one here. It's called Student Math Scores. Okay, in this instance, there are 10 students with 10 test scores. And as you can imagine, to calculate the mean, the median, the mode, and the range for 10 students who have 10 test scores would take a lot of time. Okay, I would like you to play with this. So obviously, like we've done in the past, go to File, make a copy. Okay, so you might say Jason's student math scores, or Jack's student math scores, or Ruby's student math scores. So you have your own copy and you can edit it. Okay, and then what I would like you to do is to play around with the functionality so that you can calculate the mean, the median, the mode, and the range, which you'll have to do manually for each of the 10 students much more efficiently.